overview of Otp1 Part B, Prevention Through Instruction. I will provide you with a few guidelines for how to complete this activity. For Part A, you created a class profile. You'll use the same class profile as you did for that activity. This will provide the context in which you will design the remainder of the assignment. You're going to be completing a classroom, planning a classroom expectation and routines. So you'll develop a matrix in which you identify 3 to 5 classroom rules or expectations. Generally, these are linked to the school-wide rules. Please reference the video presentation as well as your other resources for some ideas on how to do this. You're going to link those rules and expectations to at least 5 classroom routines. Remember, every classroom has routines that occur on a regular basis: entering the classroom, exiting, putting away classroom materials, large group, small group instruction, cooperative group activities. Those are things that we would talk about as being everyday types of routines. For each of those routines, you're going to define at least 2 observable, measurable examples of what the expectation looks like within that routine. So you'll look at behavior rules or expectations, and you're going to link them specifically to the routines that are occurring. The other aspect of this is that you're also going to identify what is your responsibility as a teacher during this time. In other words, what do you have to do to ensure the students are successful carrying out the particular routines set up within the classroom? Here's an example of a classroom expectation matrix. This is one for younger children, and as you can see, it's limited in terms of the amount of words used to define what students will be doing. Here, down this column, are the routines that occur daily within the classroom. Along the top are the expectations. There are 2 defined here: be a friend, be ready. Then for the basic routines, arrival, be a friend means you greet the teacher and the peers. Be ready means you keep things in place and you sign in as you enter the classroom. As the teacher, my responsibility is to model behavior and provide prompts to students. So this is one example of what an expectation matrix may look like. Here's another example, and this would be for children who are older. And if you look at this one goes across multiple routines, and again we have be safe, be respectful, be responsible. I would guess that these expectations are linked to the school-wide rules, but then they are defined specific to what is occurring within the classroom and with students. Okay, free time, walk to where you're going, stay in the classroom. Those are examples of how students would demonstrate be safe. Play nicely with others, treat toys and games as if they're your own. Share toys, stop what you're doing when the teacher signals. One thing you want to remember when you put together this matrix is to avoid telling students what not to do, but rather state what it is you want them to do. So do not use the words do not or stop. Okay. Rather, you state specifically what you want the student to do. Here's one for an older classroom. I believe this is middle school, and we have respect on task, always safe, responsible. So here they've taken their expectations and they've put them along the side, and the routines are across the top. Either one will work. Now this particular one does not have what the teacher responsibility is, but that is something you'll want to include. As you can see, these are stated in, are a little more wordy, more specific to students, but because of the age of the students, the expectation would be that they would understand and need this guidance in order to complete those tasks or routines. The next part is that you will develop a lesson to teach one of the expectations that you developed in your matrix. I attached a lesson plan for you to use. You're going to describe the process that you'll use to quickly review, revisit the expectations and routines on a daily basis, as well as how you'll measure progress. So specifically, what data will you collect and how will you use it to make decisions? If you go to pbis.org, there are multiple examples of lesson plans to teach school-wide and classroom expectations. Feel free to use these as examples, reference them in your citation when you complete it, but it's okay if you use some of those ideas. The other thing is that the format for designing this lesson is optional. You can use whatever format works best for you. However, you do need to make sure that you can include all the components listed in the directions for the assignment. Okay, so you do have some freedom here. Feel free to make the lesson palatable and contextual to the way you would want to teach this lesson to your students. An important aspect is not to forget strategies for assessing student success. Doesn't make sense for us to teach a behavior if we're not going to monitor and see whether or not it's been effective or if there are changes that we need to make. So here's a very simple example of a data collection tool that a former student designed to collect data. She was using daily stamp cards and she entered the information into a master behavior frequency worksheet with an area for some anecdotal data as well. So very simple, and that's okay. We want whatever we do in terms of collecting data to be easy to collect and interpret so that we can look at effectiveness. Here's the guidelines for this assignment. It's worth 10 points, 5 for your behavior matrix, 3 for your lesson plan, 2 for implementation and how you would determine whether or not it's been successful. Online, there is a folder with some additional examples of lesson plans as well as matrices. And as I say, go to pbis.org or just Google positive behavior support matrix and lesson plan, and you will find a multitude of examples that you can use. If you need assistance with the content of the assignment, please contact either Trish or Tracy. If you need assistance with the technology, please contact Rhonda. Thank you for your attention and enjoy completing this activity.